Welcome to Village in Motion. It is Thursday, January 24th. I'm Clint Lambert, and it's my pleasure to be the host this morning of Village in Motion. And we have two individuals that are very important in regards to our resident council. We have both the president and the vice president. We have Betty Christman, who is the president of the council, and Terence Kuch, who is the vice president of the council. And we're so glad to have both of you with us this morning.
Thank you.
Great to be here.
And unfortunately, we do not have Peggy Kellers,
yes.
who is the ex-president, but is currently the secretary of the council. And what was it? You guys decided to do musical chairs this year?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
We thought, exposure in each of the positions would be good.
Oh, okay.
Now, Peggy has all three. Yeah. I have two. Terence has two. I mean, we're just, yeah. We thought it would be interesting to change.
Oh, okay. All right. So you've changed leadership within the council. Are there other changes that are taking place?
Well, there are two changes that have taken place. Back in December, when the council voted for the officers, we had voted Phil DeVore, I'm sorry, I went blank for a minute, as the vice president. And Phil didn't quite understand how much was going to be involved. And after some thought and some look at his own personal needs and requirements, he came to me and asked if he could move down to liaison as one of the committees.
Oh, okay.
And Peggy and I talked about it and thought, well, the best solution is to put Phil back in communications committee, which is where he had been for 3 or 4 years.
As the liaison.
Put him in as the liaison. He had been a member and also chair of that committee.
Right.
And Terence had been assigned to as liaison to communications to move him back to the vice presidency.
Oh, okay.
He accepted that a little reluctantly because he really wanted to work on communications. So we made that switch. And I think it was a good decision because it ensured the continuity without any break in looking for someone else.
Right.
And I think it was the least disruptive of anything.
Oh, okay.
I'd been gearing up to work with communications, and I had a packet of information and had recruited, I think will be a very good chair, Sarah Plum, to that, and was ready to go, and then Betty called.
Yes.
Well,
and that happens.
yes, it does.
I mean, that's one of the things that happens, and one of the things that we here, living here at Green Spring, need to recognize. We have different health care needs,
Yes.
which also influence how we do things or what we agree to do or have to change in
Yeah.
regards to things.
Well, the transition has been very smooth, and I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
So, you and Peggy and Terence, you guys are off to a flying start, I understand.
Yes, we're having to be this year.
Yeah.
It's going to be a challenging year, simply because we started out with fewer self-nominations for the council than we have in the past. So we're actually one short.
Oh, okay.
I'm doubling as the liaison to finance and also the president,
Okay.
just to be able to cover that committee. And then with the repositioning coming up and the refresh of Village Square, that's going to be a challenge for everybody,
Yes.
not just us, but for everybody. And finding the meeting places so that we can continue what we need to do during the year is being a challenge.
And the big challenge is to make sure everybody understands what's going on.
Yes.
The communication, Terence, that you're talking about,
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's so essential. And it's really essential this year with all the changes and the constructions that's going to be going on.
Right, yeah.
In regards to it. Go ahead, Terence.
Oh, there are a lot of wheels in motion for
Yes.
the next several months.
Several
We
years.
all,
Well, yes.
we
yeah.
have to cope with and figure out how to get through it
Right.
happily.
Yes.
And how to get the residents through it happily, because for many of them, change is not easy for us older folks. And we're going to have to assist in smoothing some of those transitions over and some of the changes that all of a sudden happen.
Right. Do you have any plans yet for helping in regards to, let's just say, start with Fireside? That's what they're currently doing, and they're doing Fireside's kitchen. And then it's going to be the cafe, I understand.
Right.
Has there been any discussion in regards to what residents can do, what the plans are in regards to feeding residents and helping residents?
A lot of that will be discussed tomorrow. Chandra is sponsoring 2 town halls, if you will, in the theater. The first one is at 11 o'clock, the second one is 3. And Brad Andrus, her new AED, has been assigned to monitor what's happening with Town Center repositioning. And Melissa Robeson has been assigned to monitoring what's happening with the Village Square refresh. And they will have the floor plans, they have some tentative time frames and whatnot, how they're going to move things around. And Ty and his team have a very good plan for what we will do when dining rooms are closed or, you know, you can't have the normal schedules.
All right. So plans are in motion.
Yes, they are.
Yes, in regards to it. And so it's really essential tomorrow. What is it? The first one's from 11 to 12?
11 to 12 and 3 to 4.
And 3 to 4, and they both are in
the theater.
In the theater, okay?
Yeah.
So people need to get there.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
In regards to it.
And I'm not sure if those are going to be televised. I'm hoping they will, but that wasn't brought up.
Yeah.
And nobody seemed to know.
I just heard somebody in the background offset saying, yes, they will.
Okay.
So they will be televised in regards to this. So, you know, people need to see what's happening. They need to see the plans as they are and recognize that the best laid plans sometimes get screwed up, right?
Well, yes, they do.
I think the final result will be really interesting and a real improvement in the community. Getting there will be tough, but we'll make it. And people will say at the end of the process, this really is a better place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay. So that's one part of what's going on. What are some of the other issues that are coming up that you're aware of that you guys are going to be addressing?
Well, I'm just trying to think quickly. I want to make some changes in how things are done this year with the council and all its activities. I would like to make it more open. I mean, we've tried to do this transparency, and I think we've done a good job of it. But I do want to make things a little more open to residents to come in and see what we do on the council and provide us some feedback, some input, some recommendations, because I think it's very important. Just as an example, we have a 3Cs meeting once a month, and that's with the council and the committee chairs. And each of the chairs will tell us what their committee has been doing the past month, just summarize it. We did that just a week ago, our meeting, and we ended up having some brainstorming over how to resolve some issues that were brought up. And I had numerous emails saying how good that meeting was.
Great.
And how much they appreciated being able to talk to each other. So that's something that I want to work into that one meeting in particular. It'll be at the end, but I think that's a good thing to have that interface. The other thing that we are continuing to do is a regular meeting once a week with Chandra, either as the executive council or myself with her in a one-on-one. And there we talk about a lot of things, and you know, a lot I can't discuss with other people, but at least I'm aware of what's happening here in the community. And I think that's very, very important. We will continue having the lunch with Chandra once a month. We'll start that, I think, again in February.
And what you're talking about with that is the fact of inviting residents to have lunch with Chandra and some of the council members?
Yes, that's exactly right. And Chandra will ask a question, and everybody discusses it. It is a very, very interesting and worthwhile lunch. And, you know, I am looking now for residents who've been here for a while, brand new residents, those that have been here, you know, 6 to 8 years or so. I want to mix so that we can really get some good input. Many things that were discussed last year, Chandra went back and implemented. So I think that's extremely important.
How does someone let you know, or let Chandra know, or whoever, that they'd like to be involved with that lunch?
They can get in touch with me. Either give me a call, send me an email, stop me in the hall, whatever, because I recommend to Chandra who to have in that meeting. Okay. So that's one way to do it.
So Betty Christman, who is the president of the resident council, and all your information, contact information is in the phone book, right?
Yes, it is, and it's also on the bridge.
All right. So, and it's on the scroll.
Yes, that's right.
So, 3 different ways of finding out information about how to contact you and make sure they contact you,
yes.
right? Okay. But you're looking for people who've been here for a while, people who haven't been here quite so long, and people who are brand new.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And what they can bring to us from their experience in the outside.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I don't know how many people know, but Elaine Sorensen, who happens to be on camera this morning and is a past president of the council, brought a lot of information from California with her when she moved here after being involved in a continuing care community in California, and really provided a lot of worthwhile material for the council here to enjoy and to develop off of and expand in regards to it. And so there's a lot of people with a lot of information out there, a lot of experiences that they have that they can share with us. So.
Yeah. The other thing we're doing kind of in that line is there's a clause in our policy and procedures manual that the president can appoint an assistant secretary, which is one of the other things we did last month. We appointed Sandy McKinney, who was previously Secretary of Resident Life, as the assistant secretary. Okay. She will be helping Peggy and primarily archiving all of the council minutes and records that are important to have from a historical perspective.
Oh my God.
Sandy loves to organize things, so this is an ideal job, and she can do it at her leisure, really. Right. They're scheduling Tuesdays and Thursdays right now, but if Sandy wants to do it more often, she certainly can. And one of the people that I have on my list for them to talk to is Elaine, to try and get from her as much information as how things are done in other locations as possible, so that we have it. We want to be able to go in and search for things, and right now we can't. We have boxes of minutes that if you wanted to look through, you'd have to pick up each sheet of paper and read through it to see what's in there. And archiving it all will be so much easier.
Oh yes, oh yes.
So we're coming part of the 20th century, I guess, if not the 21st.
But that's progress.
Yes, it is.
And that's something the council's doing for the residents to utilize the information that's already been shared.
Right.
In regards to and ideas that have already been generated.
Yeah, exactly.
Very good. You mentioned earlier that you're one person short on the council due to the fact of people not volunteering.
Right.
Are you thinking about filling that?
If we get somebody in that has the financial background that I think is needed for that committee, you can't just walk in without some financial background. Being able to balance a checkbook, with a computer and a pencil and paper is not adequate. It really isn't. And Ken and Cody know the kind of person they're looking for, so I'm going to rely on them for that. But I would like to be on that committee anyway, regardless, because I'm interested in how the funding is coming in and how it's going out and what's going on. So I will continue, but if we could find a liaison, it would be good.
Good. And so if you can find a liaison, then you would bring up the numbers of the council.
Yes, it would.
Okay.
We would have 10 instead of 11. I mean, 11 instead of 10. Yes,
Okay. But until then, you will continue as liaison to the Finance Committee. Very good. As a member of the Finance Committee, I'm glad to hear that. But when you're talking about someone with a financial background, you're not talking about the fact of being a good investor. It's the fact of really having a knowledge of finances.
It is. And finances from a more business perspective, large business, I think corporate kind of investment, or not investment, but financial background.
All right, very good. There is another person here that moved here that I met a year or so ago that came here from another CCRC, and it's a gentleman. I do not remember his name, unfortunately. But I would encourage, let's announce the fact that there's somebody else out there that's lived in CCRCs that may have experiences to share them with you in regards to that.
I'd really like that. And if they want to come forward, again, give me a call, email me, stop me in the hall, whatever.
Very good.
And we do have once a year at various sites meetings with other Erickson CCRCs in the region to share ideas, and it turns out that they do some things differently that are really interesting, and we do things interesting to them, and that's very productive.
Right. Very good.
Yeah. And the other thing we're doing in April on the 17th, we have a resident council or resident advisory council conference. It's the Southern Region Conference, and we meet with representatives from Oakcrest, Riderwood, oh dear, there are 5 of them here.
Ponds.
Ashby Ponds.
Yeah, whatever they're.
Yeah, the 5 that are in the Maryland, Virginia area.
Yeah, okay. And you meet with those and discuss what's going on?
Yes, and there are various work groups, conversation groups, just a full day of exchanging ideas, which is very beneficial.
Who's hosting it this year?
Oakcrest is hosting it.
Okay.
We hosted it last year and had a very successful conference.
Oh, very good.
They're working very hard
Sounds
in
great.
getting it set up.
Very good. The council is active.
Yes.
You're working on some things. Terence, I heard that you had implemented some things or thought about some things about the secretary could do to do something different with secretary ideas. Am I correct on that, or is that simply the fact of the person to archive?
Well, being a computer guy for 52 years, last year when I was secretary, I just saved all the files and urged people who contributed files to please name them something other than doc. So we have this large collection of over 900 files from last year's council and committees, which would be an enormous job to organize because most of the file names didn't follow what I was recommending as the standard, but many did. So that could substitute for paper. Sandy might get into that. In fact, she's asked me a couple of questions about it.
So it's truly start moving into the electronic age, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
in regards to it.
Yeah. I think you should tell them about the listening post also, Terence.
Traditionally, the vice president's duties include running a listening post.
Right.
Those residents may be new and don't know about it. Is where 2 of us, the vice president and one other person who volunteered to sit with me and collect resident comments about anything related to Green Spring. Whatever, anything that occurs to them, good or bad. Compliments are good, but we really do want to hear about problems because we're here to help solve them. And that's 4:30 to 6 o'clock in front of each restaurant in turn. Fireside will be the 6th of February, and followed by the Jefferson on the 13th, and Woodland Skies on the 20th. And those exact same dates will repeat in March. So come by 4:30 to 6 on the first 3 Wednesdays of each month, rotating around the restaurants, and say whatever's on your mind. And those comments get summarized and passed on to both management and to the relevant committee to think about, talk about, and do something as necessary.
So the first 3 Wednesdays, 4:30 till 6:30?
Till 6.
Till 6 is going to be the listing post time.
Right.
At one of the restaurants.
Right, in front of the restaurants, near the registration, the host desk.
Tell them about the volunteers, the chairs, perhaps.
The
volunteers?
Well,
the volunteers that are going to help Terence, I recommended to him, in the past we've always used council volunteers. And I thought this year let's try something a little different and get the chairs of the various committees involved so that they can perhaps...
Right. As it turns out, I didn't realize that it was not in black and white that it had to be council members participating in the listening post. So at the 3 Cs, I suggested to the chairs that they volunteer for the listening post and said they're committee members who were interested. And I got no immediate hands raised, but it will happen. And I think it's very good, especially to get the council members and the committee members working more closely together,
Yes.
which happens like one day a month now, but should happen more intensely and more frequently.
Very good.
Yeah.
So there will be 2 people at the listening
Yes.
post, but one of them may not be a council member.
That's correct.
Right.
As such. Okay. Very
Yeah.
good. Very good. The information, Betty, that comes from the listening post, where does it go?
Last year, I did a spreadsheet up of all of the comments that came in. I looked at what the comment was and placed that in like where the directors, who would be responsible for it. Anything with general services was put in a pot that would go to general services. Anything from dining would go to Thai. And at the end of the week long that I had the listening post, I would separate those things out and then send them to the council members in its entirety. I would send them out broken down into what were applicable to each different chair for the committees on the council. And I would also send it out to the directors. And I had items of high interest for the executive team, for Chandra and her folks. I would put in a separate bucket. So she would get those things first and get a heads up on what was going on with the residents, what they were thinking, what they were talking about. This year it'll be done a little bit differently because Brad Andrus, the AED, has been designated to receive all of those and then send out the appropriate comments to each of the directors and managers.
You mentioned Brad Andrus being AED, and I'm not sure everybody understands what AED is.
AED is Assistant Executive Director. There are 2 of them now, and they both came in with their feet on the ground and running. They have been absolutely marvelous with helping us and helping the residents, and have taken a huge load off of Chandra's shoulders, and I know she appreciates it.
So are they assistant exec or associate exec?
Associate.
They're
Associate.
exec. That's what I was
Okay,
thinking.
I'm
You
sorry.
said, no, you said that and I thought,
Yeah.
I think they're associate exec.
Yes,
Okay.
you're right.
And they have split responsibilities by
Yes.
department pretty much.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Those are things that are in plans, in motion. Those are ideas that you have about the council this year. What is going to be the council's responsibility to the residents this year?
We're the interface between the residents and the management. And that's our responsibility, is to listen to the residents, listen to their complaints, their compliments, their recommendations, whatever the residents want to bring to us. We need to listen, and we need to take that wherever it can be resolved, whatever the issue is, and keep that resident informed of what we're doing, what's happening, so that they get feedback as to what the results of their comment or complaint or whatever was. I think that's extremely important, and it hasn't necessarily been done as often as it should.
Okay. Then we have the committees.
Yes.
And what's the responsibility of the committees?
Well, there are 8 committees, and they work in various specific areas such as finance, communication, dining, general services, corresponding to the major divisions within Erickson Management here.
Right.
They meet with the managers, they discuss, they bring up issues for resolution, they talk about policies, and it's on a specialized basis. They do in miniature what the council does in general, and then they forward ideas and proposals up to the council via their chairs and their liaisons being council members themselves. So there's a good bond there, and we do hear from them formally twice a month from each committee, and informally all the time.
Okay. Very good. And last but not least are the residents. What are the residents' responsibilities here as far as the council's concerned, as far as the committee's concerned? What do you see our responsibility being?
I think the biggest responsibility that residents have is to let us know if there's something troubling them, if there's something wrong that they see. Let us know and we can help get that fixed. We can help get it to the people who are responsible for it. Supporting us as best they can, joining us. You know, we have opportunities in the fall to sign up to be a member of, or to run for a member of the council, an opportunity to sign up to be on the various committees.
Right.
And help in that way. And that's the most important thing they can do, is to join the committees, run for the council if they so desire, and just help us with Green Spring, making it better, the best.
Making it the best, right? And keeping you informed about
Yes, absolutely.
Communication, the name of the game.
Yes, yes, it is.
Very good.
We want to hear questions that come up that maybe have already been answered, and some residents may not know, so that we can facilitate, yes, that's been done, and here's how, or no, it hasn't, and we'll carry it forward.
And I think it's so important, Terence, because when you look at the fact we have about 150 plus or minus individuals turnover a year here. 10 years, we've got a whole new group of people.
Yes,
and that's what I've experienced in my time here. And so things that, you know, we answered 10 years ago, they reappear in regards to it. And so you need to continually tell us what's going on and how things are done, and people not to get frustrated about that in regards to it. So thank you for doing that and keeping us informed about what's going on. But the big thing right now is make sure people go to tomorrow.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, and tomorrow is Friday, and go from 11 to 12.
And 3 to 4.
And 3 to 4 in the theater, hear about what's happening with Town Center. Okay, very good. Again, thanks to both of you, and I wish you a wonderful year and great leadership here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.